Remember when I talked about people getting hurt and idols who came to rescue? Today, I'm bringing you part 2, so get ready folks. CL saves Dara during an earthquake. We're starting off a bit strong, but trust me, this one is no joke. In 2011, when 21 had some group activities in Japan, an earthquake hit the country. This natural disaster got its own name, Tōhoku, and at one point reached number 9 on the Richter scale, so it was really serious. The group shared their terrifying yet emotional story on the show Incarnation in 2013, and it was just crazy. When the earthquake hit Japan, Dara was alone in a hotel room. Mind you, it was on the 34th floor. Everyone else was away and she was by herself trying to rest. The chaos that took place was out of this world and she tried to save herself immediately. However, Dara didn't know what to do. The building was cracking, everything was shaking, the hotel's phones were cut off, and she couldn't find anyone. She said, "I was so scared. Usually, I just bear it, but I was so scared that I crawled outside to ask for help, but no one was there." Dara tried to stay calm and figure out what to do. She found her cell phone and called CL who was nearby. Thank God, the leader picked up, and when she heard that Dara is stuck on the 34th floor of the hotel, she immediately rushed there. While they were talking about this on the show, Dara recalled what CL told her in their call that day. "Anni, stay where you are, don't get in the elevators, I'll come get you." And she did, guys. Chanyeol later talked about how the whole building was shaking and that there were already cracks, plus things were falling apart. Using the staircase, CL ran 34 floors of the building and came to rescue. Although Sandara was in a state of shock and this traumatizing event stayed with her for years, it's absolutely mind-blowing how the leader stayed calm the whole time. When she was asked if she wasn't scared to risk her life, she had this to say: if I had to, I thought it would be better to go with my member. It seemed the right thing to do. CL repeatedly said that she feels the responsibility for her members, and that she's always there to protect them. Even when 21 disbanded, she spoke on the issue in the show Living the Double Life, and started to cry because she felt completely hopeless regarding what happened to the group. Can we all just agree that CL was one of the best group leaders in the K-pop history? Honestly, she is such a great role model. SNSD trying to save Jessica. The former members of Girls' Generation, Jessica Jung, experienced a terrible thing back in 2010. When the group attended the 12th annual Korea China Song Festival, the footage of Jessica being in a state of shock and horror hit the internet. The claims that Jessica was grabbed by a man and touched in an inappropriate way started to spread around. What happened was that the group bowed down to a man who they knew since he was one of the employees of the broadcasting company. Well, not any employee, he was actually the vice president of KBS. However, everything quickly changed when Jessica turned around completely horrified. The man laughed straight into her face. What the heck? How disgusting. She quickly moved closer to Hyohyun and whispered something into her ear. After Hyohyun listened to what Jessica had to say, she looked at the man in a complete disbelief and pushed Jessica in front of her so that she would get away from him. Sooyoung also noticed that something's wrong, and so Jessica shared with her the terrible news. In the original footage, people saw the vice president touching Yuri too, but the footage is now not to be found since either SM Entertainment or KBS took it down from every platform. When all the members found out what happened, their mood quickly changed and they pushed through the crowd further away from the KBS vice president. I mean, no surprise. This form of inappropriate behavior needs to end. One can only guess if this was the only time it happened. Not only fans, but people all around the world demanded SM to make a statement regarding what happened during the festival. It wasn't the company who protected Jess, but her fellow members. Their label had this to say regarding the incident: "The rumors are absolutely not true. If at that time an inappropriate incident took place, we would have taken action. We would like it if there are no further misunderstandings." People are convinced to this very day that SM lied to the public just to keep a good relationship with KBS. And honestly, are we even surprised? We should talk about it and we shouldn't forget that this happened. I'm sure Jessica didn't forget it either. Baekhyun protects chanyeol. Last year was pretty crazy, and that goes without even saying it. Not only was the whole world trying to stay safe during the pandemic, but the K-pop industry was barely giving us time to catch a breath. It came as a complete shock when some disturbing statements against one of the biggest idols of K-pop were addressed publicly and almost ruined his career. The whole story sounds more like a plot of a cheesy fanfiction than actual real-life problems. Some girl online tried to destroy his good reputation, photoshopped some pictures, and shared a long post online in which she said that chanyeol was cheating on her. The girl slandered his good name and mentioned how he would have a thing with many girls and cheat on her constantly when they were in a long-term relationship. Well, yeah, I guess you can see how this is low-key a bit weird, right? Unfortunately, it wouldn't be the K-pop world and the whole internet if they didn't try to cancel him before he even got a chance to speak up. The allegations were obviously false, so he's completely safe now, although he's enlisting to the army this year and that leaves fans really sad. But let me tell you how Baekhyun tried to protect his fellow member from getting torn to pieces online. This precious man went on Twitter to throw shade at that girl who, among other things, also said that there's bad blood in between baekhyun and chanyeol, and that she was their acquaintance. In this tweet, Baek said, "No, but really, who is this acquaintance of mine? There's a mosquito." Like, if anyone at this point thinks that these two actually hate each other, you need to get your eyes checked because they are like best friends. Thank you, next. Momo protected at all costs. Back in November 2016, Twice had a rehearsal for the concert in Jeju. All the members were preparing for their number and practiced really hard. However, the stage was a bit new for them and Nyon tried to keep an eye on everyone to really make sure that nothing unfortunate happens. It was almost like a sixth sense because something actually really happened. Or at least, almost. When the girls were rehearsing, Momo tripped over something on the stage, and if Nyon hadn't noticed, she would have been down on the ground with a pretty serious injury. It's so nice to see idols taking care of each other and making sure that everyone stays safe. It wasn't the first time that Nyon showed that she cares for her fellow members, and Momo is no exception. Honestly, these girls are all keepers, because they're just amazing and we have nothing left to do but stan. Period. Sunny's traumatic experience. Die-hard Girls' Generation fans most likely already know about this, but we just have to mention it because it's the peak of idols saving others from getting hurt. If you don't know much about SNSD, or you've never really paid attention to them at concerts or performances, you probably haven't noticed, but there's always at least one member covering Sunny's ears when the time to launch some fireworks comes. The reason for this is that she's extremely scared of loud explosions, and especially if she isn't notified about them beforehand. This isn't just simply because she's afraid of the noise, but because of her traumatic childhood memory. When Sunny was only 1 year old, her family lived in Kuwait. They were refugees, and right around that time, the Gulf War started. I guess you probably know where this is going. But yeah, Sunny backs her memories to that time when she heard loud explosions, gunshots, and terrible attacks. She says that although she's not really sure, but she thinks her fear of fireworks comes from all this. Thanks to her fellow members, she's always kept safe from reliving this terrible trauma. And although they're always there to help, Sunny still feels anxious and panicky when she knows that there will be fireworks. Who can blame her, right? We love you, Sunny. Crossband action. Remember when in 2016, the three icons from AOA, EXID, and Twice collaborated and blessed us with an absolutely fabulous performance of most legendary K-pop songs by Wonder Girls? Although it looked like they owned the stage and nothing was bothering them, the rehearsal didn't go as planned. That very day, while rehearsing for their performance and perfecting every little step, Sohyun from AOA slipped and fell. Trust me, that was a very ugly fall and it looked like she broke her leg or hurt her back really badly. However, Hani from EXID didn't hesitate and she immediately stopped dancing, just so that she could rush toward her friend. She stayed there till she made sure everything's fine, and Chuyi from Twice also came to check on Sohyun. The trio took the internet by the storm when people saw how affectionate and caring towards one another they were. What's even more amazing is that when the girls performed that evening, no one actually knew that something bad happened to Sohyun, cause she literally killed it. As we know now, she was okay that night and it was just an unfortunate misstep that can happen to all of us. But let's be real, that fall looked like it must have hurt a lot. Sometimes I wonder if there's anything that K-pop idols cannot pull through. Sana from Twice saves a fan. Don't we all just love a little idol and fan crossover? I mean, it's always so nice to see our favorites interacting with their fans. However, it's not always under very pleasant circumstances, but that's just life. After one of Twice's performance, the members were leaving the place. Their security guards tried to keep the situation as safe as possible, not only for them, but also for their fans. Girls were waving their stands, rushing away when suddenly, one fan fell down after being pushed by someone. Well, the first person who noticed was Sana herself, and so she screamed and ran to rescue. She was so quick to jump and help, and it was almost like she was trained for this. As soon as she got to the person who fell down, she made sure that they were okay, waved her hand and joined her fellow members. Stand Twice for clear skin, please. Peekaboo. Just to end this video on a very good and fun note, let me remind you of the time when GOT7 appeared on Weekly Idol in 2017, and Jackson with Mark had to engage in a wrestling match. Remember what happened? Yup, Jackson accidentally ripped Mark's pants, showed his red underwear, and Jinyoung jumped to hug Mark from behind just so that the camera doesn't get more footage of his private parts. Poor Mark. Although it was fun to watch, I can't imagine how embarrassing that was. But y'all, at least we know that Mark matched the color of his underwear with his hair. Just kidding. Anyway, that's all for today, guys. Let us know if you know any other occasion when idols had to come to rescue to either save their fans or their bandmates. See you next time. Bye!